Welcome everybody to this episode of CNC WorkBench. In this episode we will be showing you how to create a CNC pattern for a picture of a Menards utility knife and kind of dress it up and make it your own personal knife. The way we're going to do this is by making scales for the outside of the utility knife. Now you can do this with any utility knife, obviously. You'll design, disassemble, machine, and reassemble the knife. You can do this on any knife that has screws. You can take it apart and then make your own custom scales for it. So, I'm using one from Menards. It's called a Mastercraft utility knife, and we're going to show you how to take it apart, go through the designing, machining, and the finishing of that particular scale for that particular utility knife. The instructions and videos are available on my website and my YouTube site, silverbackwoodworking.com. So I invite you to come and enjoy. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up our software and we're going to create a new file. We're going to make a file 12 inches wide, 3 inches high, and 0.33 inches long. We're going to put it on the material surface. Our XY datum will be in the center, and our flip direction will be from left to right. So we'll say OK. The first thing that we have to do is we have to import our bitmap file of the picture of the original knife so we can use it as a template for our scale. So what we want to do is get our template, and I happen to have mine under knife, and here are our templates, or our pictures I should say. And I want you to notice that when I took the picture, I took it on top of a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch grid, and this is so I can approximate as close as possible the actual sizes of things in the picture. And when I took this picture, I took it as close as I could directly overhead. So everything is in proportion. I'm not going to get messed up by distances and stuff like that. So now that I have this as a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch, the next thing I really want to do is make a square that is the size of our square in our picture. And this is going to give me approximately what the size is. And as you can see, our size is 105 by 107, pretty much a square. Everything's square, but the difference is this picture needs to be larger to make it 1/4 inch. So how can I do that? Well, we can close this and go to transform object and select objects of size. You'll notice that it says it's 105 by 107 and it's 100%. We're going to link the X and the Y, and what I'm going to do is, like I said, these are 1/4 by 1/4. So I can come in here, put in 1/4, apply that, go to 1/4, and you'll notice that it's 238.90952%. We're going to copy that number. Copy that value. We're going to close out of this. And then what we're going to do is highlight our picture. Now I want to make this picture the same size as my 1/4 by 1/4. So what I will do is go to transform object. It shows me the size of my picture. I'm going to go in here and paste in that number that I just saved. Apply that. Now spaces should be a 1/4 by 1/4. So we can come in here to verify it, make a square, it's pretty close. I'm not going to complain about that. So now that I have my picture the size that I need for my document, because we made everything 1/4 by 1/4 now I can come in here and use this as my template. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go up to tracing, and I'm going to do just the black parts. This is all I really give a care about. So we obviously want to do all the black, and you'll notice that it highlights everything that was in black, and that actually looks pretty decent there, just using black. We might be able to clean it up a little bit more with another color, but I'm not real too sure I want to do that because it looks like it makes the holes smaller. So I'm going to just leave it there. So I can go in here and say I want my fit to be tight. I'm going to have my noise filter real low. I'm not going to fade my bitmap a terrible lot because I still want to be able to see the grid. Preview it, and you'll notice that it draws a line all the way around things. I'm good with that. I'll say apply. Close this. Now I have a nice vector drawing around the outside plus my holes. So what I'll do is I'll come in here, I'll grab all my vectors. And what I'll do is I will group those all together. And the reason for that is now I can extract that and leave all this other garbage behind. I'm going to do the same thing to this other side too, because this has got two sides. So I'm going to come in here and highlight that, and then I'm going to come through and get all of my holes. Now I realize that not all my holes are perfectly shaped holes, but they give me the location, and that's what I'm really after, is the location. Now I can group all those together and extract those out. Bring it over here. Now I can sit there and take this guy and just basically put him off to the side. Really don't need him anymore. And all of this stuff is just garbage, so I don't need this anymore. So I will highlight it all and delete it. So I have two pieces now that are approximately, well, I shouldn't say approximately, they are the size of my actual part. So if I want to double check everything, which I can do, come in here and measure from this point right there to this point here, about straight across, and that's about 4.23. I can take my black piece and I can do the same measurement. When I do, I get 4.20. Pretty close. So I'm going to say that's acceptable. And the reason being is that I will have to massage this after I cut it out the first time. So I'm just trying to right now get it as accurate as I possibly can. And I noticed that I dropped a hole out of it too. See the hole that was in the back? I didn't pick it up. So what I'm going to do is just drag this back over across the top of my visual aid here, and we'll just get him right over the hole like that. It's pretty doggone close. And what I'll do is I'll just come up here and I'll put a little hole there. Okay, and actually if I wanted to I could do this to all of them. Just kind of go in there, but I'm not going to do that right now. Oops. So I'm going to add this to my group. So those are all my grouped objects now. And I can bring him back down here. Now it's really basically massaging it and making it look nice, be straighter, cleaner. So the next thing I want to do is come over here to what we call node edit. Well, it says it's grouped, so I can't do that. I've got to ungroup it first. So we'll highlight it, ungroup it to the original layers. Now I'll be able to come in and do the node edit. Now you'll notice that I got a ton of nodes here. I really don't want that. That just is going to make my machining that much more difficult, and also the refining of my style, it's going to make that a lot more difficult. So what I'm going to do is come in here and I can edit it. And what I can do is come out of here, come up to model, or I'm sorry, go to edit, and what we're going to do is curve fit vectors. And I can make it a circular arc, straight lines, or a Bezier curve. I'm going to make it a Bezier curve. I can preview that, and you'll notice how much it cleans it up. It gets rid of a lot of these nodes. And that's what we want. We want to get rid of a lot of the nodes. And we're going to get rid of more nodes as we continue working on this. But it will make it a lot easier to deal with when we got to edit the nodes out. So say OK. And now when we go and look at this, it should be less. And we can go in through here and start just cleaning things up. Where we think we need to clean things up. A good for instance is right here. We've got two of them here. We can get rid of one of these. So we'll delete that point. You'll notice that it squared this up a little bit and cleaned it up. We don't have that bobble in there. And we can do that to other places too. Because we don't really need all of these nodes in here. And we can sit there and pull this over a little bit and make it nice. For instance, this node right here, I think, maybe even these two. Let's see. Well, no, I think I'll get rid of this one. And then I can sit there and use this to shape it a little better. Make it more of a circle. So you can do that. The other thing is that I want to get all of these nice and clean. And usually what I do here is I will come and get approximately in the center, and I know what size these holes are because I measured them, and they're 1.44. So I can come in here and put in 1.44, apply that. Now that's the center, the actual hole size that is in the material. And I can bring it in here and center it, and then I can get rid of the outside one. And I can go and do that to all of these holes because all these outside holes are the same, 1.44. So I get to about the center, and that looks pretty good there. Get to about the center here. Do it there. Get to about the center here. Okay. And then I can go through and get rid of all of these unnecessary ones. And what we're going to do also is that we'll also go back, once we get a lot of our cleanup done, we'll take this back to our picture and make sure everything's looking good. See how we got all these jig jags here? We got to get rid of these. So what I will do is I will highlight all of these, hit D for delete, and I will delete this one here. Notice how much that really cleaned that all up. And if you smooth these points, what it does is sometimes get rid of the jaggedness. It makes it a much smoother dimension around. So we'll just sit there and, yeah, that's looking pretty good there. Okay. Well, I got a goofy looking thing here, so let's get rid of this one here, and that cleans that up a little bit. Let's get rid of this here. Cleans that up. Okay, pretty good. So now we can sit here and highlight all these again, group them together, and then we can take this back over to our picture and compare it again. Okay. See how this now follows this pretty well? The back looks pretty decent. The top looks pretty decent. This is still kind of goofy here. Let's bring this up a little bit. So we can go in here. Well, first of all, what we need to do is ungroup everybody. Now we can kind of bring this in here, bring this in, and kind of smooth this up a little bit. Bring this point down a little bit. And you can use your original as a comparison also. My original, these come together more like this. And we can just keep on massaging this until we get it to where we want it to be. I think we'll get rid of this point here. And we will smooth this one and smooth this one. And we will take this handle and we will bring this out a little bit. That looks better. So now I have a model of my knife. Bring it back down to my palette here. And if I'm satisfied with that, I can start now massaging things to make it look better. So what I can do from this point on is I can start modeling it. And there's a couple different ways we can do this. There's some things in the modeling on this particular program that I can use. It's called Create a Shape. And if I just highlight this guy here and apply it, it will give me kind of this looking shape here. Now that kind of looks kind of goofy. So what I may want to do is not have it so fat, so thick. And it may help it out a little bit. So what I can do is change the thickness of the height. And I'm going to change it to 0.33. And then we'll apply that and see if it does anything different. See, it did take some of it out, which is fine. That's great. Another thing I could have done to help it is not had the holes on the pattern. And what I mean by that is that I could have went in here and ungrouped the objects. And what that would have done is that when I did this one, it isn't including the holes. And if I would have done the modeling at that point in time and applied it, it would just ignore the holes. So it looks a lot better. I could flatten that out a little bit by changing the base height. Applying that makes it a little flatter, so it's not quite so thick. I could also do this height here and change it. See, that brings it down a little bit more. And let's say mostly I like that design, but I don't like it around here so much. Well, what I can do is on here, they've got a tool that I can kind of massage it a little bit. So what I can do is I can smooth it, I can deposit, I can smudge, I can remove, I can undo. And it gives you the diameter. So what I'm going to do is add in this area here. So it's not quite so thick. I can keep that, say OK, and you'll notice that it did open it or put more material there. And there's a lot of other things that you can do to it too. But that's basically how you deal with it. If you don't like it, you can always go back. You can always go back. And that's kind of the beauty of this, is that you can go always back. Got to select the component. Now I can go in here and I can reduce my diameter and then just come in here and go like this. What that's going to do is kind of smooth it out a little bit so it doesn't look quite as harsh. If I want to add a little, I can go through here and add a little bit. And let's say I do add a little bit here. Okay, I added quite a bit there. Now I can go to smooth and smooth it out and make it all blend together real nice. Again, that's just some of the tools that this Aspire has. So, and that makes it look a little better. So that's my one blank. It's ready to go. Now I could go to the toolpath side and say, hey, you know, I want to (3D) rough cut that. And it's saying error, error, error. My model thickness is too thick. Now everything's okay. All I did is change the model where it's laying in the on the thing. Okay, say okay to that. I can go in here and say I want to either do selected vectors, selected level, material, or model. I'll just go with model boundary. I'm going to put a boundary offset, half the thickness of whatever tool you're going to use, or up to the thickness of the tool. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch ball nose on this. A little bit of allowance, and we're going to calculate. Goes through, does its magic. Or did that, then we can come in here and do, again, we'll do the model boundary. Tapered ball nose, that's a lot more fine. And then if we preview everybody, there we are. I'm going to go to a little bit lighter wood. There we are. You can see it a little bit better here. And then the final thing we'd want to do is cut it out, which we would use that particular, go to profile, we'll use a 1/8 inch bit, say okay, go on the outside, 77th way to, we'll do 34, calculate, it says it's going to cut through, we know that, and then if I preview that, there's my scale. Not too tough. So there we go. The next one is on disassembly, machining, and finishing. See you then.